And here we go. We are live. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Help Me Pivot, where we turn fear into confidence that creates cash. And I'm so excited about today's speaker. Her name is Dr. Angela Chester. She is a TV host. She hosts the Daily Spark. She is a radio host. She's a pastoral counselor, an author, and the list goes on. And she is going to give us some solid advice today on how to pivot and deal with these crazy times we are in. Welcome, Angela.
Thank you so much. Hello. Thank you so much for having me on today.
So, Angela, tell me a little bit about yourself and what you are focusing on right now with these crazy times we are in. So,
oh my goodness, there's so much going on, and thank you for that brief bio. It humbles you to hear what you do. You know, you have to send those things in, and then let's make sure we live up to who we want to be. So in that case, as a pastoral counselor, just helping people get through this time. So many people are dealing with anxiety and depression, the uncertainty of it all, be it that they're wondering about their job, about their finances, how they're going to provide for their family, or perhaps they're just worried about getting sick, about getting the virus itself. We just have to learn to kind of be patient with each other, to love on each other as much as we possibly can, and just take it day by day and not get overwhelmed. As a radio or TV host, just trying to keep people entertained, but at the same time, bringing them information that is going to inform them. Not just, there's a time for comedy, there's a time for drama, there's a time for everything, but really trying to make sure that people are, as I say on the show, enlightened, inspired, and empowered during this time. It is just so important. Mm-hmm.
Enlighten, inspire, empower.
Yes.
What a beautiful thing to do right now. We can all use it. So absolutely. What advice do you have for people right now? So give us a few tips on how we can break through these fears and how we can get into a zone of creativity and maybe see some opportunities during these times.
Absolutely. And I think the key word in that question is opportunity. This is an opportunity for us to hit the reset button, for us to recreate ourselves or to upcycle ourselves. The same way that we would take something in our home and repurpose it. Can we repurpose what we do for something that is for this moment of now? So many people are still in that box. They haven't learned how to think outside of that box. So this is a really great time to really sit down and have a conversation with yourself and say, what can I offer? What can I do? Now, this could be something that you simply have a passion for, but it's not how you generate your main source of income. It's not your career path, but it's something that you truly enjoy. And let's say that you were a violinist in college and you've always wanted to be a violin teacher, but you knew that was not going to pay the mortgage. This is a really great time to utilize these digital platforms that we have, for example, and give violin lessons via Zoom or Facebook Live or Periscope or any of the resources that we have. And people are able to pay you over the internet as well, be it that it's PayPal or Spotify or any of those, Shopify, if it's any of those other platforms. We have to learn to think outside of the box and look at what can we do with the opportunity that we've been given. When I look at myself as an example, as a pastoral counselor, we no longer meet face to face. We're no longer meeting in office. Even with the mask, it's just a little too close. So instead, we're doing telehealth. Look at the opportunity that you have to still assist people during this time, but you're doing it as safely as possible. You're doing it from a smart source where that person feels safe and secure, and you're also able to provide a service. So be it something that's in your career path or something that you've always wanted to do, there's an opportunity right now to seize that opportunity.
So find something that you were always passionate about, right? Maybe it's a hobby, something you enjoyed doing as a child, and see and play with it, right?
Absolutely. Because we're all so good at so many different things. Sure, there's that one thing that you majored in, but maybe there's something you can do in your minor. So many of us major in one thing and minor in something, or we have a double major. Is it possible that you can take that thing that you majored in and turn it on its ear just a little, tweak it just a little, and you're still able to walk in that particular path? Or perhaps you have to pick up that minor that you minored in and start doing that. And there's so many different ways. Is there something that interests you that you volunteered for before, but now you have an opportunity to perhaps be reimbursed for some of that volunteer passion that you once have? That it's a way to actually bring in some resource, some money for you. So there's so many different ways that we can utilize what we have to squash some of our fears. We don't have to worry financially if we learn to kind of loose ourselves, to free ourselves and say, what can I do? The total of what I can do, not just the one or two things that I can do.
So what I hear you say also is it's a good time to develop that side hustle, right? And align that side hustle with a passion, with something that you always wanted to do. And Absolutely. It's okay to do more than one thing. So let's just assume right now I have my side hustle. Let's assume I found that passion. My passion might be I love to cook, right? Just feel so awesome in the kitchen. So what's my next step? Now I found something I love to do. What do I do next?
Oh my goodness, you picked such an awesome example. So you could do a few things. One, if you're not on social media, you must get on social media. You want to be on one of the platforms where people are able to catch a live of you. Instagram live, Facebook live, Periscope. You have to be somewhere where you can send out an alert to those followers and say, today we are going to make fill in the blank. And people can watch you cook. There is no better example of someone being a good cook than showing us how to make awesome looking food. Now, we can't taste it, but our eyes have a tendency to be able to tell us whether or not something looks like it tastes good. So with that being said, you can interact with your followers, with the people that are tuning in to see what you have to share. But at the same time, you could also put out a cookbook. It doesn't have to be, the cookbooks like our grandmothers had that had over 100 recipes. It could be a very quick ebook. It could have top 10 recipes that you need during quarantine, right? It could be cooking tips for stay-at-home moms. It could be cooking tips with your kids, how to cook as a couple. Just let your mind go and think of all of the possibilities as opposed to all of the restraints. Before, I think we had to make sure that we stayed in one lane and one lane only. Now is an opportunity for us to utilize each lane that is before us for the purpose in which it was given. Perhaps one lane is to simply entertain. Perhaps another lane is to inform. And perhaps there's another lane that is to inspire, that you can share what you're doing and you can inspire someone. Hey, have you ever tried to make a pie before and you kind of didn't do it so well? Well, let me give you some tips. Let me inspire you to keep going. In giving the tips, you are informing the person on what it is that they need to do, why that ice water is so important, why not rolling out that dough. You don't want your dough to be, tough. All of those little things that perhaps someone didn't know, but because they watched you, they now know, they're now inspired, and you don't know how your simple act can inspire someone else to find a sense of freedom, especially during this quarantine time.
See, what I like about what you just described, that you gave various platforms, because I'm personally surrounded by quite a few people that have amazing kitchen skills, but that does not mean that they feel comfortable going behind the camera, right? So but there's another way, and that's to inform, write a cookbook. So there are different ways to get your message across, even if I don't want to be like Dr. Angela on TV, on the radio, right? So I can get my message across in different ways. So that's perfect advice. Pick a platform you're comfy with, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I know so many people that are not the in front of the camera, they're the behind the camera sort, yes. Right? So, but the thing is that guess what? We need both types. Yes. For everyone who's in front of a camera, there's an awesome crew who's doing the behind the scenes that makes that person shine. So I think if we really look at how each person is important in the whole picture, you find where you fit in. I think it's awesome if someone wants to do a cookbook, because for me, that's something that I would purchase simply because it's something different. It's something to fill the time, because I have downtime too. Even though many of us are really, really busy during this time, we also want to have some downtime. So why not? Try something different, try something new, and you might actually find out that that's your new path, that your new normal might actually become your normal.
So let's talk about money a little bit, right? Yes. So we found our passion, we found an opportunity, we decided on the platform. So what would be your advice right now on creating some cash? Because so many of us are strapped for cash right now. So what's your advice for people that are in need of money now?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would say you have to make sure that there are some very basic foundational things that you do. One is that you need to put out a product that is worthy of payment. So we can't put out something that on a scale of 1 to 10 is a 2. No one's going to pay for your 2. So we always hear, give not only 100%, but give 110%. So you have to not only meet your potential customer's expectation, but you need to exceed that expectation. So if you want to give 10 recipes in your quick and easy cookbook, they need to be 10 amazing recipes, right? Not just the, mix it, stir it, bake it, and it's done. Most people know how to do that, or they could have Googled and found that for themselves. You want to give them a little bit more. You also want to put some time in the presentation. Unfortunately, we do judge a book by its cover. If it looks good, then we want to partake of whatever that is. So with your platform, with what you're presenting with your product, put the best cover on it that you possibly can. If that means it takes you an entire day to design it, to plan it, to fix it, then take that day so that your product looks purchase worthy. And last but not least, you need to decide on a price point for your product. Now, we understand that many people need items that are going to sell that are X amount of money, $100 a piece. But perhaps the product that you're selling is only $50 a piece. Make sure that you're giving the best $50 product that you can. If you need to sell $1,000 product, sure, have $1,000 product, but throw in a bonus or 2. You want to always supersede someone's expectation so that they can turn into a repeat customer. You want to build trust with them. They want to know that if they spent $50 or $5,000 with you, that product is going to be not only what you promised it to be, but it's going to be so awesome that you want to share it with others, that you want to go back to that store, you want to go back to that person for their product or for their service. So be it that it's a product, something tangible that you're going to mail out or that they can download, or even if it's a service, make sure that you're giving the best that you possibly can. Start with something basic first. Yeah, start with something basic first to get that out the door. But then work on that good, better, best. Have that good, better, and best product.
So work on that. Make sure you have quality, right? Make sure that you exceed expectations and just be amazing and really committed 100% to providing something at high value. Now, how do I find my ideal customer?
Finding your ideal customer, you have to ask yourself some honest questions. Who are you really marketing to? Who is it that's going to be interested in your product? So one of the best things you could do is not actually think like the seller, but think like the purchaser. Mm-hmm. So if you're a mom and you are looking for diapers, there are certain things that you're looking for in that diaper. If you're looking for some type of skincare product, ladies, we're looking for certain things. We don't want these things, but we do want these things. So if that's how you shop, then that's how you should present your product. You should become your best customer. If you're able to actually ask others to kind of use them as your test market, then that's awesome. But if you don't have anyone that you're able to ask those questions of, start with yourself first. What would you want? Would you want it to be smooth? Would you want it to have a fragrance? Or would you want it unscented? Would you want a small jar or just a large jar? We have to think about the total product. We have to think about what we're trying to put out. But we also need to think about how will this best keep once the customer has it. We don't want to give someone too little of something, nor do we want to give them too much of something and then it's wasted. We want to always give the perfect amount. Thinking like the customer, I think, is just so important in making sure that you're doing things properly.
So thinking like the customer. So one of my business coaches, Shanda Sumter, she always tells us niche is rich and broad is broke. Tell us a little bit about that. I mean, we want to be obviously very clear, right? And very specific with our customer, right? And who we are.
Of course. Yes. Because unfortunately, when we paint with a very broad brush, you don't always actually hit the target, right? You have all of this very broad swipe that you do, and sometimes you get the person that you're looking for, but sometimes you bring along some folks that didn't want your product either. So instead of using a broad stroke, we use a very defined stroke, then we're able to really drill down into the things that are important. So if your customer is looking for something that's, let's say, a gluten-free product, that's very niche. That's very specific. Yes, that person is going to come and shop your product, and you'll probably have a customer for life as long as you're giving them quality product. If you're looking for something that's unscented because perhaps you have allergies or you have very sensitive skin, make sure that you put it on there for sensitive skin. Hypoallergenic. Look for the things that are really, really important to that niche group. Now, I'll use myself as an example. I'm a pastoral counselor. So the people who utilize my service understand that they are getting Christian counseling. Not just counseling, but they're getting Christian counseling, which means as a pastoral counselor that not only are we able to, or pastoral counselors are not only able to help you with things dealing with your faith, but also with mental health. For so many people that are of a particular faith system, dealing with mental health is a challenge. They're not quite sure how dealing with mental health and their faith go hand in hand. So seeing someone who's a pastoral counselor will actually able to address both of those things. Very niche market. So you have to figure out, what do you want to do? How do you want to do it? Who do you want to do it for or with? Why do you want to do it? And when you figure out all of those things and you start to put that out there, your message becomes crystal clear for the perfect customer.
And you want to share your values, right, with your customers.
Absolutely.
And your customers share your values. Now, that is beautiful advice, Angela. So what is the number one tip or message that you have right now for your customers? What do you get asked the most? For what are you helping people with the most right now, and what do you tell them right now?
Oh my goodness. So I personally get asked, how do I deal with the virus? How should I feel in this particular moment? I'm frightened, but I know that the world must go on. What do I do? With that bit of advice, it's one, be patient with yourself. The entire world is dealing with something that we've never dealt with before. The generations that are alive right now, we've never dealt with a pandemic. It's different, right? It's causing some people to have a sense of anxiety. Others perhaps are dealing with a little depression, uncertainty. The other thing that we're dealing with, flip side of that coin, is my whole family is home and I don't know what to do. I've never had to deal with myself, my spouse, or my mate, and my children at home as well. And that's causing me to feel a particular way. The overall thing that we need to do is be patient with ourselves. No matter what you're going through, be patient with yourself. If you can be patient with yourself, you can be patient with others. When you start to be patient with yourself, that is a great place to practice, because in knowing what you want, you're able to give that to another person. So being patient, being understanding, and being mindful. Now, that might be something that many people aren't familiar with, but being mindful is just being aware. You're home, so is everyone else. You want to go outside, so does everyone else, right? Yeah. So the way that you're feeling is perhaps the same way that your significant other is feeling, the way that your children may be feeling. So if we're able to sit down, calm ourselves first, take care of ourselves in that moment, then we are able to, in turn, to give to others what they need in this moment. And each person is going to need something different. Maybe it's conversation. Maybe it's just a quick visit, because we're not able to go over and share that in-person experience anymore. But do a quick FaceTime call. Do a Zoom call. Spend time with each other. There are many things that we cannot do. But if we look at the positive and say, but what can we do? I think that changes your perspective and you do those things instead. So you can read a story to your kids. You can sit out on the balcony with your mate. You can go plant some flowers in your garden. You can perhaps spend some time at the beach, just clearing your head, just taking in some sun. You can improve on yourself and make sure that by the time the world opens up again, you're your best version of you.
That's powerful. So whatever you say, be patient, connect around you, connect with loved ones around you, yes, and focus on what you can do right now instead of thinking about all the things you're not able to do. Maybe Absolutely. You weren't able to travel right now, but what is it that you can do? Plant, go into the garden, enjoy the time, and be in gratitude. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. So Absolutely. I have one last question for you, Dr. Angela.
Sure.
You know, I could talk to you for hours. You're so amazing to talk to you. So what question would the 80-year-old Angela, what message would she have for her present self?
Oh my goodness. Now, I'm going to make a few assumptions. I am going to assume that I have gathered more information, more wisdom, more knowledge along the path by time I get to be 80. So with that one assumption, I am going to tell my present self to continue to be open-minded, continue to quest for knowledge, continue to listen as much as I speak, if not more, and be willing to simply be, to understand that it's just okay sometimes to just be. And what I mean by that is that sometimes when the world is going crazy, our friends don't need for us to try to solve a problem. Our spouse doesn't need for us to solve the problem. They just need us to be there for them, to just listen, to be a shoulder, to be a sounding board, and that it's okay to not always have the answer, but to simply be, and that sometimes is the answer that person needs. To just keep striving to be my best self. Don't stop, don't give up, and don't assume that you've reached the top. Just keep that ever quest of making sure that I am doing what I advise others to do. And that is continue to look and be and strive for the best me that I can possibly be.
Be the best version of yourself. And yes, you are. So how do I follow you? I want to know about your TV show right now. You have such an awesome title, The Daily Spark. I want to have a daily spark right now. So tell us a little bit about your TV show, how we can stalk you, find you, follow you. So give us a little bit of info here.
Yes, of course. I make it really, really simple for everyone. You can go to drangela.chester.com. That's drangela.chester.com. And that is the platform that will take you to everything else. You can listen to a radio in certain metro areas, literally as you drive around, but you can also stream it. I make it available on all of the streaming platforms as well, like Spotify, iHeartRadio, Last FM, all that type of stuff. TV as well. Start with my website, and you can get everything there. I'm on Instagram as Dr. Angela C. I'm on Twitter and Facebook as Dr. Angela Chester.
That is beautiful. So thank you for providing us a spark and for being part of this show. And I am going to look for that daily spark. And, thank you so much again for this inspiration. And you have such beautiful energy.
Thank you.
I can feel it all over. So I'm all lit up right now.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed being on.
Thank you so much, Angela.